Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Wills, and welcome to our continuing coverage of Thanks for 30 Years. In case you've been out of the country, Chief Meteorologist Extraordinaire John Gaughan and Anchorwoman Extraordinaire Mary Baer are retiring after 3 decades of service to you, our viewers, here at News 4 Jax. And many of you have submitted these questions for the two of these people to answer.
Yes, thank you so much.
For the questions.
Yes, and for the 30 years.
30 years.
Oh, I can't believe it.
This question comes from Donald R. Campbell, and I'm sure it's a question that both of you have been asked since we announced that you're retiring.
Okay.
He says, this question is for both of you. You guys are both too young. It will not be the same without you. Congrats to both of you, but why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Why?
Well, I mean,
I think we both have personal reasons.
TikTok.
I mean,
it's the clock.
And I think, you know, Amara's speaking a moment. She has her personal stuff, and I have my personal thoughts and desires to do. This is definitely not retirement for either one of us. Right. We're going to go move ahead with our lives and try to make more of what you guys have given us over these years, your dedication to us, and we right back at you. And I think both of us have that kind of future for all of you.
That's really well put. And also for me, I mean, like I said, the clock, because there was a big birthday last December, and my husband and I kind of looked at each other, and he's like, how you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm kind of, I've spent half my life here at Channel 4 on the set. It's just the last few weeks that hit me. So it was something we were kind of looking toward doing anyway, but not so soon. And then all of a sudden it was kind of like, it just kind of seems like the right time.
Yeah.
And it does feel right in some ways, I guess in a lot of ways. And then there are a lot of ways where it's just kind of a shock.
Yeah,
so.
it is. It's been, what you may not know at home is that we've known this for 6 months. Yeah. And so we've had
6 months?
Almost.
I don't do math very well.
Almost.
For a while.
I don't do the math.
So the point here for us has been that we've known and we haven't been able to express it to not a lot of folks, just our immediate family, and that's been about it. There's a lot of things that go on back behind the scenes at Channel 4, and I've often said that for every person you see on Channel 4, there's like 6 or 7 other people you never know were on TV or make what Tom,
they're holding us all
Mary,
up.
That's right, keep us together. And
Yes.
it's those people that you don't know about, but the fact is that they were kind of guiding everything to help make everything work out. As we've already announced, Richard Nunn's going to take over for me, so that's a big deal, and we had to make sure everything was taken care of for him. And the others that are coming on board, the weather staff's a little bit of a turnover, but they're awesome people, and they're going to be there for you. Yeah, exactly. And so the point here is that timing was everything. There's I will admit to the fact that when it comes to taking, pension payouts and stuff like that, there's an important detail there. And so it just all came together to tell us it was time to do it.
Life is good, and I don't know personally. I'm the youngest of 6, and I know all my other, siblings, most of them are already there in the retirement era. Yeah. So I'm like, can I please join you? Can I come see you? Can I travel? Because everybody lives in different areas, too, of the country. And I think that was a big thing for me, was being able to have some more flexibility with my life, because I have a grandson and I need to see him a little bit more, and the schedule is a little challenging for family life. So just asked my daughter that, because I didn't get to see her a lot, during school nights through so many years. So I think now is kind of the time. Yeah. And then I get to travel with Marty, my husband. He's the boss of his own firm, so he's much more flexible than I've ever been able to be flexible. So it's really kind of cool. So we've already planned, like, I'm going home back to Oregon for a week at least. That's the first thing.
Stop. Yeah.
This next question comes from Anonymous. Would you both be interested in forming a touring show based on your many years of experience? We can call it the Mary and John Show.
Hey, let's do it. Come on, John. That might be the next venture.
We have covered every little square inch of this area, from Georgia to downtown, around town, St. Augustine. I've been to Stark and Lake City and Lake Butler.
Do we need an agent for this to start this? I don't know. Is anybody out there interested?
Tom?
Yeah, I'd do it.
I don't know. I'm really maxed out on my planning. I have a big schedule ahead of me. I think that's getting back to question
You're saying
number
you're
one.
not available. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. I'm like, we're not retired here, folks, and my schedule is just exploding as it goes into the fall right now, and I'm not sure exactly how it's all going to play out.
I can't wait to find out more about your schedule.
It's going to be interesting.
Okay.
It's going to be interesting.
I know. I don't know. That's not even part of the question, though. What we're going to be doing, is it? But
Roadshow, I'm not sure.
I don't know about
Channel
road
4
show,
used to do road shows back in the past.
Yes, we did.
Oh my gosh,
one of the other many things we've done.
Yeah,
what was it
many
called?
things.
It was
Blue Crab Festival.
Four
Four
on the Road.
Four on the Road.
That's it. And we went to all these various festivals, Fernandina Shrimp Fest, down south, Blue Crab.
And the whole team got together
That's
and made
right.
it happen.
Yep.
It was a lot of fun.
This question also comes from an anonymous viewer. Mary and John, there are so many transplants to the Jacksonville area. What changes have you seen over the years that have affected you?
Oh, wow.
That's a good
How about
question.
that? Good question.
There's a lot of things that have happened. I mean, look how big this city is now. And that changes just the way, I mean, just one thing I like to tell my family, my friends, and my family goes, I can't believe all the things you've seen driving home late at night. But it's true. It's crazy how this city has grown. And you do get a little more guarded because all of a sudden there's more people around you,
Yes,
right? It
absolutely.
was much more
Wide
calm
open.
and relaxed when you
Exactly.
drive home late at night. I'm just kind of cruising along. Now it's like, okay, I got to be careful where, because people be crossing the road.
Absolutely.
Or there's just a lot more traffic.
And
So the traffic is huge.
Right. It's not a 24-hour town by any stretch, but when we leave the station at 11:30 midnight, thereabouts, I do have to watch out. There are people out and about,
Yeah,
sometimes
that
in the
weren't out
downtown area,
before.
sometimes,
Yeah.
it's through the south side. And that would not have happened 25, 30 years ago.
True.
The town really did shut down at 9, 10 o'clock back in the day. I would add, I live in St. Johns County, and the growth there has been phenomenal. You guys wouldn't even recognize the place. I remember 210, two-lane road.
It
Had potholes everywhere, and it was a mess. 210,
Woods,
by the
just
way, now is
solid
basically
woods
Nocatee
and- yeah,
Parkway. I mean,
yeah.
it's gone kablam.
Right.
Big
So
explosive.
how have the changes changed? I mean, how have the development changed us, or how the changes? Well, look at the Jaguars came. I mean, that was a big thing that happened while we were there.
No Jags back when we started.
Yeah. So what else?
I think we
What do
covered
you
This is
think
a
of the last
better
30
city
years?
than when you guys
Oh my
came 30 years
gosh,
ago.
yes.
That's all there is to it.
There's
The
so much
quality
more
of
to
life is
do.
improved here.
Right.
tremendously.
I remember it never, back in the day, I was never single here, but I remember the young people in the newsroom saying, there's nothing to do here. And now it's much more of a single place, I think.
yeah,
The young people get a chance to,
Get
that's
out and do
changed me.
things. But I get back to Tom's thoughts, though. I mean, the big changes have taken place that have really brought the city back up to a level that, 35 years ago when I first moved to the city, you still had a little bit of that ville in Jacksonville.
Right. It's
And
not
I
so
would say
much
that has
anymore.
totally kind of been melted away over the years.
We're kind of
and-
proud now
Yeah.
when we make the news for good reasons.
Yeah.
When Jacksonville is named, it's like, yeah, of course, we're from Jacksonville. Where
Right.
it used to be kind of, small town.
You're like from Georgia, right?
Of course, we liked
Like
being a small
Central
town, too,
Georgia,
so,
somewhere in there.
yeah.
Mary, how will you stay connected to your fans who have been following you since you came to Jacksonville? You will be missed. Another anonymous question.
Well, I will say that I'm grateful for social media. Dare I say that? There's a good part of Facebook because people actually are able to connect with you and you're able to keep up. There's also I'm not going anywhere. I mean, I'm still going to be here in this area, so hopefully out and about, and I hope people will still say hi to me. I can't get over. I just cannot. The last weekend.
Yeah.
My husband and I went out this last weekend with the grandson, and we were having so much fun. But and people were stopping us and saying, "Thank you so much." And this one always gets me. Thank you for your service. And that always is so humbling because it's like that's what you say to somebody who works in the military, who is a
Right.
member of our,
Right.
who's really serving.
Yeah,
Now, but what we do, people
We
look at
dispensing
it that
information.
Right.
we're serving. The most I feel when we're serving our community is, of course, being here every day for you when you need us, but walking us through
When we're
these
here with
storms,
you.
walking us through these hurricanes, helping us
Right.
prepare.
And staying
That's
calm and
incredible.
keeping it in, some kind of perspective that people can relate to. It's not always going to be
Right.
gloom and
Don't
doom when these
panic.
storms come.
Yeah.
The service part, I'm with you. My grandfather was in the military,
Right.
other members of my family military. So when somebody said, thank you for your
like,
service,
no,
I'm like,
no,
well,
it's
it's
my
kind of
job."
television-y. We
my
do it,
job.
right. And we do appreciate
But
your
what a great
thinking
job
and
we
telling
got.
us, but yeah, we also do it because we love to do it.
Yeah, we've been so fortunate. I mean, I count my blessings. I count my blessings every day. I thank God for this job. I
Yeah.
absolutely do. And I know when I'm scared, like if there's a big, breaking news story, I'm not sure, it kind of rattles you sometimes. It's always, God, Lord, please give me the words. Give me the words. Yeah.
John, what is the most technological advancement during your career that has assisted you in forecasting? This question is from Robin Orr.
That's a good
Robin's
one.
great question, and in fact, I was talking to one of the other meteorologists here, David. When I first got into the business, a 5-day forecast was hocus pocus. I mean, seriously, a
Wow.
5-day forecast. And you think about it, it's
You couldn't-
Tuesday,
yeah.
you're looking towards the weekend, but man, that Tuesday forecast for weekend was a little bit dicey. But today, I can look 2 weeks out, and that shows the power of computing and power of the algorithms today. And I'm not saying we're going to nail it 2 weeks out, like to the hour, but we can nail within about a 10 or 12 hour period if it's a pretty major system. And if it's a big hurricane, those are actually easier to forecast now than ever before, because once a bigger storm does develop, all eyes, the National Hurricane Center, NOAA, everybody kind of just focuses on the patterns, and when those forecasts tend to be extremely accurate now, whereas I can remember Hugo, and I don't know you remember Hugo, but it was 1989, and there was a threat there. Hugo could come straight to Jacksonville. The forecast models were indicating it was going to go just off of Puerto Rico and head right towards northeast Florida.
And it went to the Carolinas.
Went to South Carolina, Charleston area, got wiped out, and it was a Category 4 hurricane. It was one of the big wake-up hurricanes that started this huge avalanche of hurricanes that we've seen from that happened in '89 all the way up through last year.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
It's
So
just incredible.
the improvements are in the hurricane forecasting and even the 5-day forecast, major changes.
Mary, what has been the most shocking trend in reporting news, and do you feel journalism is okay?
Oh, wow.
Deep question.
That's almost that's a dangerous question right now.
Yeah, kind of it is.
I'm getting out of the business. Do I have to answer this?
Exactly.
I'm running for the hills.
I mean, I would say I think because we have young people, so many young people who are still excited about getting into this business, that journalism is okay. And I think that I'm old enough to know that changes happen and we live through history and we make it through. And I think we're going to be okay. That's a big one right now because I know we all question it, and journalism has radically changed. I think what has been the most disturbing probably has been television journalism at the network levels, and people not being able to discern between editorial and actual news reporting. And even the people on the air, sometimes you can't tell if they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that at the Jacksonville level. That's, we're talking
I'll add to that. I would say you're right on to something, because at the local level, and I mean all the stations here in Jacksonville, I really feel like even when it comes to weather, it is what what we see, and we see what and the fact is that we're telling you what it is happening, and you can verify it instantly. So I think
love local
right,
news.
local
Local
news
news, yeah.
is so different, and I think there are apples and oranges between the networks and what happens here, and because of our status as being an independent television station, we can really focus on what's happening here at a level that is, they don't have a clue up there in New York. We have a clue to what the impacts will be for you here. I keep looking at Tom Wills, because Tom, he's our super news anchor man, and
I want him to
you're
weigh
pitching
in,
it to
too.
Mary, but we want to pitch it right back to you.
I know, I really
I'll tell you
really
this.
want to hear what you
I
say.
know there are many people who just are sure that we have an agenda. As certain as the three of us who sit here and know that we do not have an agenda,
Yeah.
and I tell them that we don't, but they're not convinced. They will not. I've yet to find one who says, oh, okay, Tom, you've reassured me that Channel 4 does not have an agenda. I've changed my mind. They stick to their story. They're absolutely certain that all those wonderful people back there in that newsroom are working from some kind of agenda. I just had somebody tell me today that, okay, you know, the employees don't, but I'm sure the management does.
I know.
It's just not true.
It's not true. And
I feel sorry for people who believe that it is.
Right. That plays out in the same role weather, to be honest with you, because a lot of times I'll get that, the national people don't know nothing.
They accuse us of hyping the weather because we're trying to scare people.
Right, and often the time would be a hurricane's coming, oh, you're just going to get an advertiser at one of the big box stores, you know, hardware stores, and I wouldn't name him because then I would be hyping it. But the fact is that they think that we're doing it intentionally. No, if I tell you, Richard, now that something bad's coming, you just need to light up and take care of your family and start getting with it, because we're not here to hype anything. We got better things to do with our lives, especially when it comes to just getting through the life. And our days are just tremendously long at work. I think that's one thing people may not, I don't know if it's in the questions there, but when you're a TV anchor or news or weather, it's 24/7. And I think people fail to recognize that. But to be on top of the news, on top of the forecast, you don't want to let your guard down. One of the funny side stories.
I don't think you sleep.
I've learned to get down to 4.5, 5 hours, but one of the funny stories is that I'm at the beach, Tom, Mary, and I'm sitting there in my chair in the sand. I got my little umbrella or something going on, and here comes a big dark cloud. If I don't move, they don't move.
Oh, that's great.
When I move, it's a mass exodus out of there.
They're all watching.
They don't even look at me too much. I get a little, wink, like, you know, time to pull out, you know, and that's the funny part.
Well, it's a good thing.
But it's a 24/7 job, and we have to constantly be alert to the fact that people are listening to our words. And when we're talking about bias in news and things like that, we're trying to be as cautious as we can be in public, because we don't want to get the perception going.
Exactly.
Keep it straight.
The three of us sleep well at night. We have a clear conscience.
True.
It's true.
True.
All 4.5, 5 hours.
He didn't get much sleep. He doesn't like that.
But I'm not cold.
Moving right along, what do both of you recommend to young journalism graduates to gain a job like yours in this day and age? And do you have any job regrets? This is also anonymous.
I got no regrets. I have no regrets at all. I mean, and I started, but my recommendation to young people is don't be afraid to start small, because I started in a very small market 154, Medford, Oregon, which is where, it was my hometown. I made no money, but I could live with my mom and my dad.
That's nice.
And drive the family truck until I could buy my own car. It was, I mean, it was humbling, but it was great because you learned every single job in the building.
Absolutely.
You know, I was reporting, I was shooting my own stuff, editing it, anchoring, and producing, and we actually had a computer system back there. I jumped to Columbus, Ohio. They didn't even have any computers then. So I went back to typing.
Yeah.
But no, it was a great experience. Fabulous. I always recommend that.
Regrets, maybe one or two, but I'm not going to go down that road. Because we put articles in about ourselves, and it's on news4jax.com and on Facebook. You probably read them, but it was a dream come true for me in the sense that if you don't know the story, I'll give you the quick thumbnail. Is the fact that I called for a job here in 1984 or 85, and I heard about the job, so I sent my tape. Heard nothing back, and finally got a phone call from George Winterling himself, and it ultimately turned out. George goes, "You look a little too young."
Oh,
So that was it. And so at that point, I still.
You dyed your hair.
Yeah, exactly. The gray look, the white look. But took another decade, but I finally made it here. So it was in that in-between zone. I could have done some changes that might have made a huge difference. It may not have brought me here either. So you don't know how those
Pay your dues. I think that's really important. And
for the kids out there.
I worry that people, the young people want to just
jump right in.
Launch. I'm going to be the anchor man.
Right.
I'm going to be an anchor woman. Well, it really helps if you're a reporter. It really does. I mean, because then you're writing and you're news gathering, and that is the whole. I mean, that's when you understand exactly what you're putting on the air.
It's been my experience that if you get the bug, there's just simply no stopping you from this business.
Do everything.
If you don't get the bug, you will quit this business because you're underpaid, you're overworked.
Right.
You're going to go get a 9-to-5 job with a nice salary and a vacation or whatever. But again, I got the bug. I never gave any thought to any job other than the one that I was doing.
Right.
And now I had a mentor, and that makes all the difference in the world.
True.
I owe everything to a lot of men, but particularly to Jim Snyder. I would go to him and say, I think I want to go to work in Boston. He'd say, go downstairs. You get down there. Go back to work. I'll let you know when you're going somewhere.
Oh,
and it was his idea that I go to Jacksonville.
Oh,
and all I knew was that the company, the Washington Post company, they owned 2 TV stations in Florida. One was in Miami.
Right.
And he must be talking about the other one. I had never heard of Jacksonville.
I hadn't either before when I got the job. But thank you, Jim
You weren't going to
Snyder.
stay here, right?
No, I was going to be here, and
Were you
then
planning to stay
Yes.
here?
Yeah.
You were.
All along. This
was
is the
gonna
best place in
I
all of
didn't know
America.
it.
Because
I
of
didn't
George.
get it at first, and then
Right,
it was like,
John, because of George?
Because of George, for one thing. Second thing is that I just love the location of within the state itself. Has a winter, it has a fall, has a
Right.
spring, has a summer, got hurricanes, checks all the boxes.
And you'd lived up north already.
And I hated the snow, Tom. I loved it, but I hated it. It's
Yeah.
like good to visit, don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
I was going to head home, and I never came back. My mom told me that. I mean, like right at the end of, and she goes, "You never came back." I'm like, "Oh, Mom, stop!"
The guilt trip.
I loved it.
Well, we all fell in love with this television station,
Yes,
whether it was like John, it was love at first sight. It was like Mary and me, it was an acquired love.
Yep.
But we still love it.
I fell in love with it when I got here, but I didn't understand that it was going to be such an incredible experience. I didn't understand that who this company really was until I started working here, and it was like, oh my gosh, they're incredible.
Mary's heard me tell the story 100 times, but I'm going to tell it to all of you. Steve Wasserman was the general manager here. He's been a friend of mine since 1975. He was 23 when he came here from Miami. I was 29 when I came here from Washington. We were the 2 outsiders, and so we bonded. And he brought Mary down after he interviewed you, I guess, and brought the 2 of us out to the studio and sat us down. She was sitting in Deborah Gianolis's chair.
Yes.
Wow, big deal then.
That was a big deal.
And it was instant family.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought to myself, if he doesn't hire her, he's making a big mistake.
Oh
And if
my
she
gosh.
doesn't take this job, she's making a big mistake because she belongs here.
Wow.
And 30 years later, here she is. And it was 20 years ago this month that Deborah Gianolis retired.
Yeah.
And
20?
She
Oh my
sends her
gosh.
love to Mary Baer. 20 years ago this month.
She's
at the end of the month.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
By the way, she likes retirement.
Okay,
Yeah,
see?
I heard that.
See?
Actually,
There is
20
life
years
after.
gives me chills, Tom,
Oh, I know,
because
me
I feel like it
too.
was like yesterday, and that's
Me
the
too.
scary
How can
part
that
about
be
how
20
life.
years, Tom?
That 2003.
Well, Deborah,
2003 from 23 is 20.
when I came here, Deborah and Tom, I mean, it was just like, and I'm telling you, I was from a different market, totally different part of the country. I didn't know. I mean, and then I find out, they're like TV royalty.
Yes,
I can't,
they
right?
were.
And I mean, crazy. It was such an experience, and I kept thinking, I just want to be able to do what they do.
Well,
You
now
know?
it's Tom and Mary, okay? I mean,
A
a lot of
it's been
people
an
remember
honor.
Tom and Deborah. I obviously remember
it's-
Tom and Deborah. She remembers it too.
Right.
But, life goes on. Walter
Exactly.
Cronkite's gone too, okay? So
Right.
but now it's Tom and Mary.
And she introduced me to my hairstylist, Donna Zimmerman, who's done Deborah's hair the whole time. I think she's been in
and still.
Jacksonville.
Oh, you
Yeah,
That's
still
using
does.
Dover.
Still does.
You just cued the hair story.
Well, because there's more to that one. Then there's the next chapter to
The
Donna.
hair
Yeah,
story.
The hair story.
I just heard it from Wasserman.
Oh, I know the hair story.
No, the hair story. Do you want to tell the hair story? Or you want me to
Okay,
tell the
okay,
hair story?
so-
You tell the hair story.
I'd love to hear Steve's version, but okay, here it is. So they bring me in, and oh goodness, I'm so excited, I'm dropping everything.
That's
so,
okay.
So they bring
That's
me in
not
for the interview, right? Yes. So because I think it came up it came up during the interview, and he's, they tell me everything about the company, everything about who you're going to work with, and the town, and blah 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 blah. And then he goes, well, do you have any questions for me? And I was like, okay. What will you do to my hair? And he's like, what? Really? Like, I think he was blown away that I had the guts to ask.
Ask.
Because in TV news, right, at least if you're female, but I think
Yeah, no,
too.
yeah.
It's all visual, and it was, especially back then, it was all about the hair. It's still all about the hair, but I mean, they were telling you how to wear your hair, and you could not. And everywhere I'd been, they were trying to do something different with my hair. So, yeah. So we actually, Nancy Shaffron took me to Deborah's hairstylist, Donna Zimmerman at Zimma's, out at the beach, which my daughter works there now and has worked there for 10 years.
Wow.
Can't make this stuff up.
No, you can't make it up. So took me out there. No, first we went to the Avenues Mall. Yeah, they took me to the mall because Steve loved the Avenues Mall. Back then, the Avenues was like, I mean, it was
the
It was the only
Nobody ever heard of the
place
town
to shop.
center. Didn't
It was
exist.
huge. There was no town center. There was no
Regency was out there,
nothing.
but the-
well, Regency was there.
yeah.
Yeah, but Avenues was like the big whoo.
Yeah.
So Steve, they took me there, and there was a, I guess it was a little. I mean, you can take selfies now. You can do all sorts of things.
Computer?
Back then, you couldn't. Yeah, no, it was a little set up like a photo booth.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He's trying to tell it, where you could get a hairstyle. You could put any hairstyle on your face.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
So we printed out all the different versions, and I love the long blonde hair. That's
Really?
like it will never
Goldilocks
happen.
blonde
but
kind of
that's
thing?
like the dream is to have, I want to look like blonde California girl, That's not happening ever. So they were like, well, what about short? And I was like, well, what about short? So I hadn't worn my hair short since like high school. So we brought it to Donna, and she's like, I've been trying to do this haircut on Deborah for like a decade. And so that was because Deb still hadn't cut her hair short. So that's when, did I tell it right?
So
You did.
This is my memory of it. And so I was on the air, I think, one day with it long. I think that was it. Yeah.
Actually,
And
you know
then
what?
they
I
cut-
kind of
isn't
remember
right?
that. Yeah, that
Yeah.
does sound familiar.
Yeah. And then they cut it, and wow.
But it
was
was like
short.
it wasn't a pixie cut.
No,
but
it was a Dorothy
Dorothy
Hamill.
Hamill. That's it. I knew
What
it.
Steve told me was the trip to the Avenues where they could do various hairdos on your face.
Hilarious. Yeah, it was very
You and
entertaining.
Nancy Shaffron.
We had a blast. It was so fun. I mean, I love Steve and I love Nancy. Both of them. What a dynamic duo.
Yeah. So just to fill in a few blanks for viewers at
Memories.
home, Steve Wasserman was the general manager, vice president to the company, this division of the company for at least 5 or 6, 10 years, something like that. And he bounced around between New York and Miami.
Detroit.
He was
news director here before he became general manager here.
Right.
In fact, he now lives in South Florida,
Right.
and he told me over the weekend he and his wife Sally have lived in the same home for 15 years. That's the longest they have ever lived anywhere in their
right.
entire lives.
Media nomads, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Nomads.
he's
That they-
incredible.
if you're in television and you're in
smart.
management, you are flying
You're gonna
all
be
over
moving
coast
around.
to coast. And,
He's so
But
smart.
he was in charge, and then Nancy was the news director at the time. But I'll tell you a quick story about Steve, and I will never forget it. We had just been announced that we got the Jags. And at Channel 4 and Sam Kavars and all these people pulled together and repitched the NFL. And it was such a big deal. And we got them. And then I'm down I'm walking in, it's a Saturday, and I was working the weekends at that time. And I said, Steve's sitting in his chair, and he looks so defeated. And the NFL decided to go and switch the programming of football so that it was not going to be on the network we were on. And
We didn't become the Jaguar
and we
station.
didn't end up being the best. And he was so bummed.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
seriously.
he lived everything for this station.
Yeah, he did. And the thing about Channel 4 is and this is that family thing, we have contentious arguments and fights, and we do what we have to do to get the station looking better and better every day. But when one of us is really down like that, it hurts all of us because you could it sucked the air out of him and to a degree all of us because we really wanted to be the Jag station.
Yeah.
A lot of effort was put in there.
Yep.
That NFL.
Mary, this is a challenging one. Mary, what is the most poignant story you were ever involved with at Channel 4, and how did it affect you personally? This is from Terry Joseph. Terry, thank you.
Oh, Terry, thank you. It jumps right out at me. It's Javier Cruz.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he was a photojournalist for our station, and trying to think the year, 1990. 99, maybe
Yeah,
diagnosed.
it was right about in there,
Late
88,
90s.
98, 99.
And he was diagnosed with leukemia, and I was assigned the incredible opportunity to document his treatment. And wow, what a big opportunity, big job, but I found was an incredible honor. I didn't know Javier that well. We'd only worked together a few times shooting stories. He primarily was working in the mornings, I think,
Right.
and a lot with Candace
Coleman.
Candace Coleman, yeah.
Candace Coleman, who's gone now, too.
Yeah, she passed recently.
Gosh. So he had a bone marrow transplant, went through that, and it was a success. And from my memory, I think he had another one, or it was rejected later. But we were on this great high,
Sure.
and it went on for months and months. His treatment and his recovery, and then all of a sudden, it was so difficult, and we became very, very close, good friends through it all, you know, and being right there with him and watching him, and then we were all with him when he was in hospice, and then he was gone. It was, but it made me pledge to do more on awareness for the need for organ donors, bone marrow, all of that, and so we started doing many more stories. And I ended up going to in Minneapolis, I think it was a bone marrow donor registry.
Yes, I think that's up there, yeah.
Yeah, they flew me up there to be able to tell a story, and it's an honor, just an honor to be able to be with someone who can share something so intimate, and then you realize how important it is to spread to other people, and you hear the countless stories of lives being saved, you know, but we miss Javi.
Yeah.
So that impacted me. I mean, I feel like I do feel like I've grown up here, been able to, you know, have the opportunity. And my mom told me early on when I was pregnant, this didn't happen in Jacksonville, it was in Columbus when I had my baby, but she said, you know what, you're going to be a better reporter. She said, you are going to be such a better anchor and reporter because you'll be so empathetic.
Right.
But you know, you arrived here with empathy, and having been by your side for 30 years, you've become even more empathetic. Anybody who knows you and loves you would say the same thing, right, John?
I totally agree.
Walking empathy here.
But
Television does that to you when you're on our side of the camera. Yeah, but we hear all these stories, and there's two possibilities here. You get overwhelmed by those stories. And I know news anchors, some here, that it's almost overwhelming when you have to read, you know, all the bad stories, the tragedies that are out there. And
like
then
it's a drum beat. It's
right,
a constant drum beat.
and then you could either put up a wall and you just shut yourself out of it, or you just, like, to a large degree, I feel like most of the anchors here, you will actually embrace these. You look at these
absorb
things.
it,
Yeah, and then
and
you
then-
realize how important the world is,
Yeah.
and each day counts.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's where it's really at, and
that's
how
our
people
job
deal with this.
Yeah, is to help you understand the difficult times, or at least to hear the difficult times, but also to put some perspective on it, right? And I mean, telling you and Deb helped teach me that too, to be yourself on camera, and it's okay, you know, to be emotional at times when the time is right.
She and I stood out at Mayport and bawled together when President and Nancy Reagan came to pay their respects to the Stark families. Just melted down. It was so extraordinary. John, what was the worst weather event you covered in your career in Jacksonville that required a great deal of your time? That's from Ray Libby.
Well, any hurricane for sure, and we've had the one thing we've gotten into a little bit of a groove here when it comes to hurricanes and tropical storms and nor'easters and beach damage and tree damage and power outages, and I would say each one's been unique, but Irma for sure stood out as being the one challenging storm.
Because of the flooding,
The
John.
flooding, and the thing about it is it was a unique condition that took place. There's always going to be battles out there between meteorologists on what caused the flooding, and it is my opinion that it was a seach. It's a wind-driven wave of water that surged from Palatka all the way to the downtown area, and down. The downtown area's got a very narrow and a bend in the turn, and this combination slows down the water velocity so it's allowed to build, and much of the flooding was basically to the south of there, and that is unpredictable because the models that we have, these are very sophisticated models. I talked about how good they've gotten, but they stop basically at the mouth of the St. John's River near Mayport. There's a couple that go to downtown, but only they don't take into effect these other areas of large bodies of water, which is St. John's River is. It is very wide. You know the Buckman Bridge, 6 miles across, and that is a huge volume of water, and that wind from the south after the storm had passed is what surged in.
So it was all saturated, and then because we
wasn't
have
saturated.
a tree. We have a tree named Irma.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Huge oak that's toppled over still.
Wow.
I just called her
let nature
Irma.
do it.
Well,
Yeah.
and she stayed alive. We call her
Yeah.
Irma. So she's surviving.
Wow.
But I mean, people stop all the time and give us, hey, we'll fix your tree for you.
Yeah.
And it's been how many years?
That was 6 years ago.
Yeah. So that tree
17.
is still there.
17.
But so. It was the winds as well, because that thing is huge.
Well, the winds were definitely there. We had winds over 80 miles an hour in gusts, and that did a lot of damage.
Wild.
All the pier dock damage up and down St. John's River, you know the damage out there in St. Augustine area in particular. So, yeah, it was widespread. But, Matthew did a big number on us as well, and we've had serious damage. Even last year when we had Nicole and we had Ian, we had issues. St. Augustine flooded severely again. You might remember they had to evacuate the city. I mean, this just happened, and these are the events that we have never had. I mean, I go back to looking at some of the things George had to go through, George Winterling. He's hired in 62, 64, boom, here comes Dora, nails the forecast.
Yeah.
Just does an amazing job and just bringing everybody together on it. But the next severe storm was many years later. And we had a couple of false alarms, like David in 79, Betsy in 68,
Floyd.
65, I think it was, yeah. Floyd, and that was a 99.
Scared the heck out of us.
Yeah.
Look, I was at the beach with Deborah Gianolis for that one, and we were on the pier. And looking back out, these massive rollers coming in and the misty rains coming through. Actually, we weren't on the pier. We were kind of close up near the shack, if you will. This is before it got blown out. But Floyd took that pier out because of the size of the storm, which was 175 miles away. 175.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
Floyd would have done a real number on the state.
This is for both of you, actually. Which employee at News4JAX off camera did you glean the most from in your 30 years? This is from Cody Gunter.
Oh.
Let me read the
Off
question.
camera.
Off camera.
Well, actually, the question was for John, but I'm asking it for both of you.
Oh my gosh.
Truth in advertising.
Which employee behind the
Off
scenes?
camera, behind the scenes.
Okay.
Ooh.
There's so many. Okay, let me
I mean,
think.
there's so many, that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay. John Cermak, he came to our house. What did he do?
So
he,
tell him what he does.
Oh my gosh. So he was our floor director for how many years? I'm not sure.
12.
A long time.
Oh my gosh. So he would always grill us hot dogs and hamburgers outside of the prop shop, right?
If the weather was bad and we were wall to wall, or the news was getting blown out for some unforeseen tragedy, this guy, despite doing all the work here, fires up the grill, feeds us.
Or
Yeah.
we're just sitting there, and just randomly he would bring us hors d'oeuvres that he had created in the
Cheese and crackers.
Yeah, cheese and crackers for the anchors during the show.
As if we're not pampered enough.
He ruined us. He totally ruined us. Like every other floor director. I'm so sorry.
And now he's an engineer at our Norfolk station.
Yeah. He's hilarious. So he's one. Oh my gosh.
Here, I'll do one while you think
Okay,
about it.
okay.
Well, Tara Malloy, can we talk?
Tara, of course.
Come on.
Our incredible director extraordinaire.
Who's directing this podcast right
She's
now?
amazing, and we have been such great friends through the years. I can't even. I mean, we can't even really talk about the fact that I'm leaving. It was just, and people always thought. So we would go out back in the day. There were evenings where we could actually go and get dinner between shows. Yeah. That doesn't happen anymore.
Not
really.
anymore.
Not anymore. There's not enough time. You have to be, working on the next show. But we would, Tara and I would go get dinner, and she wears a ball. She's known for wearing a ball cap, and her favorite Yankees, all sweatshirt, everything. And we would go out, and I'd be all dressed up, and all the time. People were calling her my daughter. So what would your daughter like to have? And I'm like, look, we're only 10 years apart, okay? So yes, terrible life for sure.
But she's like the head of all of our directors, and she has just that skill to kind of get it done. Let's go, move it forward. Let's go. She has that kind of a quick response to things.
Know that
but when you first meet her, you go, oh
she's
no.
Like, oh, she's nice, but she's kind of quiet. And,
keep your hands to yourself.
Not in there. She's not quiet. She's in charge.
Yep.
Well, then she's another one of those. We have a number of people here who have worked at other television stations that are not News 4 Jacks. This one's one. Tara's another one. They've come in from the outside world, and they have reported to those of us who have already been here for a time what it's like out there at another television station.
And it's really
go
scary.
to the boss and say, can you extend my time here?
That's right. Exactly.
Backstabbing.
Other television
That's the thing I taught you about.
That's what I mean. What goes on at other TV stations.
Yeah, it was really weird because I was like, I was a little wet behind the ears when
We're
I moved to
well
Ohio.
treated here. The Graham family business is a lot different than many other companies.
It's without a doubt. Without a doubt. It's an incredible
We're very
company
fortunate to work for this
Yeah.
company. Now, you know, I'm a company man. I go back
you
to
are a company man.
1969. Catherine Graham, her DNA is still in this company.
Yes.
She's amazing. I've always said, they always hire the best people, and they hire the young ones. They bring them in, and if they don't work, man, they're just gone. They just kind of.
And don't send me emails that the Catherine Graham's DNA means we're liberal. It's please.
What a
Went through
dynamo.
all that.
She was so incredible. I felt so honored to have met her twice, maybe 3 times.
What do you consider your most memorable moments, Anonymous?
John. Well, John. I've already written mine. I mean, they're on News 4 Jacks. Well, there was
what was your memorable moment?
Like landing on the JFK.
Ooh.
It was absolutely the thrill of a lifetime, and yet terrifying.
So you flew onto the deck, right?
Yes, and
nice.
the cod, which is it's
Little
not
transport.
a jet, but it's it's a oh my gosh.
Yeah, I did that on the search.
You did it too? And did they open the back of it and they say, you're going to be landing down there on this nickel-sized ship? And you're like, what? And so
huge respect for the men and women who put on the uniform for this country.
Totally.
Huge.
So that to me, and waking up under the jets at, what was it? Well, not under the jets, but you're in the below deck,
right?
And you wake up at 4:30 when they fire them up. Oh my gosh, I literally fell out of the bunk.
Yeah.
I seriously did. It was scary.
What's the question?
What
most important moment?
Most memorable moment, John. Do you have a moment?
I had a bunch of those, though.
There's so many, Tom.
Well, mine is every time you do a tornado warning and you stand up there and talk for 45 minutes.
Yeah, those are tough because sometimes, I remember in Adel in Georgia, there was a very tough tornado. We were tracking it on, and this was not too long ago. And there were deaths, not just 1 or 2. And small kid disappeared, literally got disappeared in a tornado. And we knew right away. We heard the early stories what had happened, and it was because now we're on air and we're thinking about, wow, how'd that happen? And then you start thinking deep, and you start thinking that wasn't so good. But those are the moments that television, and weather and news, the tragedies that are out there that come across.
I'll never forget, and you were there because I came back in the newsroom and told you, but I'll never forget the missing woman, Bonnie Haim, when she was reported missing, and I was like, it was in 93, something like that, or 94. I was reporting for the 11 o'clock news, and the photographer and I went out to do an interview with this husband who had reported his wife missing, and we went to their home and sat down on the couch with him, and he calls their son out, and it was really bizarre, and I knew that there was something wrong because mommy's missing. He asked his son, where's mommy? Now I was a young mother then, and I knew, and this child was about the age of my child, and I'm thinking, if I was missing, my husband was not going to tell a reporter, ask her, oh, where's mommy?
Right.
And I looked around at the pictures in their home of her with her child, and I remember coming back to the station, and I'm like, I hate to say this, but I spoke with a murderer.
Right.
And I don't judge people like that. You know I don't.
Right.
And I walked in, Tom, and I know you know that. You remember that. It was like, Tom, I don't even know what to say here, but this guy did it. And I can say that now because he was convicted.
Been convicted.
But he wasn't convicted till decades later.
Decades later.
And after that very child that I had met grew up, and he was excavating the backyard of that home and found her remains in the backyard. I mean, that's a story I will never, ever get over.
No.
You spoke with him.
Ever get over. I got to meet him, and he was, you know, what do you say? It's...
Right.
You know, it's a privilege what it is we get to do. It's a privilege.
Mm-hmm.
And we bring these stories to our viewers, and he lets you bring his story to our viewers.
And
we're honored, we're humbled to be able to do that.
Right, right, it truly. I would never, when I was in school, have ever even thought that would be something that I would be placed in that position and have that honor of being able to try to bring, you know, helping bring justice, but you're a channel in, you know, toward making that happen.
Well, but it gets back to how the viewers, and in this case, you were doing your job, but any given day, I can be stopped at a store or shopping or restaurant or whatever, and the stories that they'll open up with, it's not like, let me tell you about a story. No, we're going to the punchline, and we're telling you about how bad things are, how good things are, what happened in this situation, and that is an overwhelming part of something that we deal with, not just when we talk about a tragic story on air, but whether you're doing your job or getting, you know, met on the street. People tell us what's going on in their lives, and that's very heartening at the same time, part of the job.
Humbling, right?
And humbling, yes.
Well, and
they open up so quick.
It's a privilege that people trust us enough to open up and tell us some things that they're really eager to tell somebody.
Right.
And there we are.
Yeah.
Like you said, they trust us not to abuse that, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
To
And
be
handle
respectful.
it,
Exactly.
Handle it gently, right?
Yeah.
And here's the thing, we all learn from each other. That's the thing. It's, you know, I mean, it's a team effort. It's not like there's one teacher. We're all learning from each other.
Truly, truly.
So getting back to that question about kids coming into the business, I would say, having had this conversation, the first thing is just, and you know, it's funny I say kids.
I know, because they
I feel like a kid. What are you kidding me? So, but for those who are in their 20s and 30s or thinking about it in high school, you know, understand there's a ladder you do have to climb. And along that way, you have to absorb a lot of the things that, like Tom was saying, how we absorb information from one and another to kind of pull it together, and it kind of unifies the team and makes all of us sound much, much stronger and more capable than individually.
I appreciate you doing that, because I didn't get to this question and you've answered it. This is from a Sean, and he said he's 28 years old and he wanted to know what advice you would have for someone his age to stay driven during his career, and you just taken care of that one. John, Libby wants to know, where do you shop? You always look so professional and good looking. Best of luck, we will miss you.
Let me see that card, because I'm going to give everybody
a lot to say about that.
We have an inside joke here at Channel 4. You ready for this? Tom may not even know this. You do. Okay. I think you do. I bought a suit.
Oh no, this is really
When I first got here, I got a clothing salary. So I bought a suit, Tom, and I wore that jacket for 30 years. And in the last 3 years, it had a hole in its elbow. And I used, so we have a green chroma key, so I used green tape to fill the hole. So if I'm on air and you saw the hole, you would see the screen. You wouldn't see the hole in my jacket. And I just threw it out, and I bought this suit that I'm wearing here today.
Please tell me that wasn't the only suit that you had.
I had two.
And soon you'll just be in jeans and a T-shirt, right?
Get by with
no,
two suits.
I don't think so, Tom. I got plans.
Frugality. That is That is something.
That's another inside story. I drive around
many ties. But many
yes,
ties.
Yeah, ties are really important too. Yes, and this
Gotta
is
have the pop of color.
Yeah, popping ties. That's the key.
David Letterman ties. Yeah.
Exactly.
He popped.
He popped.
He doesn't wear them anymore.
No, he's wearing all sorts of facial hair.
Okay,
though.
so do I get to answer that?
Sure.
Oh no, that was John.
Well, you can if you want.
Well, I'd love to answer
And
this.
where do
but
I
this is
shop? I went
you.
to Rosenblum's for the last one.
Yes. Okay. I will just have to say.
Yeah, they take care of you.
Rosenblum's.
Sure.
Through the years, we haven't been able to do this because we're not supposed to
No,
be
we don't.
an ad on
Yeah,
TV.
we're
But
not.
We're not on TV.
Yeah.
Richard and you know,
Richard works there.
thank you.
Not none.
Richard
Rosenblum.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Not
oh,
none.
okay. I'm sorry. And his brother,
Yeah.
of course, and why you know, Bobby would kill me because I just forgot his name.
his name,
Richard
too.
and Bobby Rosenblum.
Yeah.
But Ursel, who worked there for decades, Ursel Thornton was my dearest. Oh my gosh, I love that woman. She taught me how to dress, and she helped me pick out my clothes, and I still wear many. The pants I have on, Ursel picked out for me. They just lasted forever. They were amazing, but I know they weren't asking about my clothes.
But Tom, this actually brings up a good point. We here been in the community. I know you've been here in the community forever, and as such, not saying in a bad way, but I'm just saying we have been taken care of by the community. And you know, and we're talking a little bit off camera earlier on about how the community has responded and giving us like a big high five. I got letters at my house. I don't know how they get my email or get my physical address.
Wow.
People, when they signed the card and said, congratulations on retirement. I'm like, you know, it touches you very much, but I got to tell you, but that's because it's the community and the community, whether it's
So
where we
lucky.
buy our clothes or whatever, you guys have all taken care of us and we really appreciate that as well.
We've formed relationships.
Yep.
They've formed relationships with us.
Right.
We're so grateful. What are you going to miss the most when you leave? Michelle wants to know.
Oh my gosh, the people.
Hands down, 100%. I mean, you know, Dave's on the camera. He's right there. He's shooting on us. And but he's got a podcast though, so I'll be listening in, and I can't do that now. I'm just too busy.
viewers.
Gator breakdown. Yep. Okay. So, and the viewers obviously. It's a whole new world for us, and
Life after TV.
yeah, and you know, I've seen some of our other anchors over the years who have retired, and some of them handle it really, really well, and some of them haven't handled it as well. And I would just say, I'm glad in some ways I'm getting out a little bit early so that I can kind of make the adjustment.
Yeah, adjustment. I think it's going to
Because that's what it's going to be.
transition. It's going to be a big change.
Right.
I'm not great with change.
Nobody
I'm just
really
gonna
is.
put that. I will probably keep driving up San Jose at 3 o'clock in
Exactly.
the afternoon because I mean I've been doing it for 30 years. So
Trust
I'm
me, you
worried
won't be
about
driving
that.
up San
I
Jose
just keep
Boulevard at
thinking,
3
well, what-
o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, well, in order to make sure that I actually take a shower and wash my hair every day, that's what I'm worried about. My daughter does my hair now, and she laughs so hard because I'll go in there and she'll say, "Mom, what is that?" And there will be like twigs or leaves.
Because Mary,
and
again,
hay
you have to
in my
understand,
hair.
Mary has this other life that she hasn't really brought up yet, but
Outdoors.
she's super outdoorsy.
I'm
dealing
gonna be in
with
the
it
barn
in the
for
barn,
the next 30 years.
shoveling something.
Thanks for stopping at
Somebody's
something.
got a shovel.
What is your greatest accomplishment while working at Channel 4? Heather Morgan wants to know.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay. My greatest accomplishment while working at Channel 4, I think the longevity of being able to anchor this long at this level, sitting next to this level, has been my greatest accomplishment. And I finally got an Emmy.
Yes. Finishing with a flourish.
Good, Mary.
Finally.
You just got that too.
Yeah, it was awesome
last week.
for a story that I'm so proud of, and it's about button batteries. If you haven't looked it up,
yes.
look it up.
A very
because
important one.
A dear friend of mine's granddaughter who nearly didn't make it. And she had more than 40 operations after swallowing a tiny little button battery. That was in like a little remote. And it happens all the time. And I just can't get over the lack of information that's out there still, and how we need to keep pushing this, because there are even medical professionals, and if you take your child to the emergency room, they might not even check or think about there being a battery lodged in there. And it can be fatal, and it is fatal.
It is.
For many, yeah.
And
sadly.
so easily done. And people don't understand that, like kids do put things in their mouth and things like that. And sometimes you don't know it happened, but this happens. And it's a serious situation.
And they're everywhere. These little batteries are in the greeting cards that we have, the little decorations that you buy for Christmas, or anything that you want to put around the house that has a little light up. Oh, isn't that cute? Or
basically
kids just
they burn
have a way
holes.
they have a way of finding them, and our pets. And I don't want to,
too,
but pets do it too. So it's critical. So what's your biggest accomplishment?
A little self-critiquing. No, I got it.
Okay.
I've got it. It's a self-critique. I thought there was going to be a very impossible job taking over for George Winterling, to be absolutely honest with you.
That's a great point.
Those are some major shoes to fill, and I had done some research and I talked to some people who are agents in the business, and I said, what are my odds of making it?
Wow.
They said they gave me 10% chance.
Wow.
And it wasn't because it was
Because
me.
you were young.
It was just because it's something about television stations and viewers. They get so locked in on one person, and for George to be so locked in for this community, and then the next person comes around, oftentimes they reject that person because they're so accustomed to that one person forever that the next one just doesn't live up to it. So
the Deborah Norville, Jane Pauley phenomenon.
Yes, exactly. And it's not uncommon to see this. I looked at other major meteorologists that had retired back in the late 2000s, and they had definitely turned them over. And a lot of these stations, the second one doesn't make it either, and the third and the fourth. And so it becomes a real revolving door. But I leave credit and thanks to this station, the management, for being smart about it and understanding it's going to take a little while for the audience to come around, and they did. And I think it's been great because of the weather that we've been able to kind of conquer these severe hurricanes that we've dealt with here. And that was my personal accomplishment.
You also had George's total support.
Helps out a lot. Does, and that's really important. So very big.
Just to touch on the management. Again.
Sure.
When Deborah, when they hired me, I remember being aware that they were kind of, just placing me in different. I mean, I think there was a plan. Not right when they hired me, but eventually Deborah did want to, step down. So they knew that they did it very carefully, and so that it wasn't a brace. There was no.
It was
no shock.
And
could this person replace Deb? Let's find out. Let her find out if she could.
And so so it was a gradual thing, but how they handled it was so beautiful, and there was never any negative that we felt, and so I don't think the viewers ever felt that. So I'm sure there were people who, of course, wanted, they missed George and they missed Deborah, but but we're all still such a family that I think I don't think there was it wasn't as painful. It was elegantly handled.
If the replacement is acceptable, the person who's been replaced is just forgotten.
Right.
Not in a negative way.
Right.
But I'm going to get my weather from this person now. Because I want the weather is what I'm really after is the message.
Yeah, but there's definitely, viewers can get fickle, and they didn't with us. And I think it gets back to the station and the management and Tom Wills and George.
Remember,
and
we
Mary.
also used to be a CBS affiliate, and we gave that up too.
Well, we've been through a lot, Mary.
Yes.
Tom Wills. I mean, at home, you will never understand when the television station, who's a network dominant station, literally called the mouth of the South. That's what we were called. Mouth of the South.
Dan Rather was #1, and he's never been #1 since they left us.
And that's
crazy.
True story, because we were cuming more people at JXT in Jacksonville than there were in New York City. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Because that's how much you really pay attention.
Cool. Yeah.
How much
It's a great,
you've been so good to us,
great
all of
place
you,
here.
all those viewers. Yep.
Happen.
we're so fortunate.
We thank you, all of you. I mean, seriously, it's
What's going to
beyond
happen to the Gaughan gauge? Let's cut to the chase here. Heather.
We have
Valley.
a special thing. Seriously, the Gaughan gauge.
Is it gonna live on?
We'll see.
Okay.
It's special.
We'll see.
It's a surprise.
Stay tuned.
You're gonna love
Okay,
it.
okay.
It's gonna be fun, right, Dave? Dave was a part of it.
Dave's a part of it.
He knows the
Did you
secret.
get it, Dave? Yeah.
Just
yeah,
shake the camera up and
yeah,
down, right,
yeah.
Dave? Yep.
He goes, oh no,
It's
no.
gonna be good.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, something to look forward to.
Yep.
Last question, John and Mary. Will you stay in the area? And if so, can we see your faces now and then? We will miss both of you. Mimi.
Mimi, oh, that's the name of my late mother-in-law. I love you, Mimi.
Mimi.
My
yeah.
mother-in-law. is
Everybody's got a
Mimi.
Mimi,
Yeah.
but Mimi's are
So you
extremely
hitting the
special.
road? You getting out of Dodge?
Heck no.
Well, heck no.
I'll be going back west to visit my family, and I'll be headed north to visit my sister. And but I'm here. I'm definitely here. You're going to see us around.
I know we'll see you around. I know you, and there will be always that special moment. I'm sure something's going to come up where you're going to appear. I may appear during
so. I
certain
hope
certain
so.
bad things that happen. I don't want to keep showing up when the weather turns really nasty.
know.
There's
Oh no, here's John.
bad karma.
Gee, it's bad weather. John's here.
Oh God, no, we don't want that. But I honestly love this. I know Mary, we live in the best place in America, and there are days I literally don't want to tell anybody.
Right.
I mean it.
No, I know. And you're like,
It's like, you know, you don't want to come down here.
it's too pretty.
It's, you know, we have,
We're right in that right now.
yeah,
seems
we're
like.
growing just about the right speed, and the growth is somewhat
But if you need an
organized.
apartment, we have one. There are a lot of them.
Oh, the apartments? Oh my
Apartments,
gosh.
yeah.
There's apartments everywhere. No, but I
But
think
we're not going anywhere.
We're
either one
not.
of
No,
us.
and I don't like saying goodbye, and I feel like it won't really be goodbye. I hope. I mean, I can't even think about like hanging up the microphone and everything for the last time, but I hope we'll be able to make appearances. Is the boss
I
still
know,
here?
probably not.
Where's Terry?
I know, she took off.
I'm not. I don't know how to answer that completely right now.
We'll see.
But yeah, we're just gonna have to see how it goes.
We're out of questions. Thank you for your contributions.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Thank
we
you,
love you.
Tom.
Wills.
Love
We
you
love you.
so much. I can't even. Not even gonna think about that.
Nope.
No,
I'm
because
not
we're
thinking
all
about
gonna
it.
stay close.
Yeah.
I know we will. And I hope you guys all say hi when you see us.